Welcome to Purposely Peaceful. I'm your host, Jessica Rivera, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a quantum hypnosis practitioner. This podcast is where real life meets inner peace. You'll get honest conversations, practical tools, and soulful guidance to help you live with more clarity, calm, and purpose. Let's dive in. Welcome back. This is part 2 of our deep dive into core beliefs. If you haven't listened to episode 5, The Sabotage You Can't See, definitely go back and check it out because today we're building on that powerful truth that your subconscious beliefs are running the show, even when you don't realize it. In this episode, we're getting into something so many of us feel but don't always understand: why peace feels so hard to access. Even when nothing dramatic is going on and everything should feel calm, why do we still feel tense, guilty, or like we're about to fall behind? It's not you, it's your beliefs. And today we're going to unpack that. The majority of us have beliefs running in the background. We have a certain way that we think, how we talk to ourselves, and these little truths that we've adopted over time. These are the inner scripts of our mind. Always at work, not always obvious though. Now, not all beliefs are terrible. Some help us survive, get through hard seasons, push forward when we need to, but the ones that aren't supporting the best version of ourselves, the ones that weigh us down, that feel heavy and dim the world around us, those are the ones that we're looking at today. So let's talk about how our beliefs can continue to sabotage our peace. We have to know them and understand them so that we can create change. And I want to talk about the peace connection, why your mind won't let you rest. So let's start here. Peace isn't just a vibe, it's a biological response to internal safety. You can have the candles lit, the house quiet, the to-do list paused, and still feel agitated, and you might wonder, why can't I just enjoy this? It's because your nervous system doesn't take the cues from your environment alone. It takes cues from your beliefs, and if the underlying belief says you don't deserve to rest, you're falling behind, someone's going to be disappointed in you, then your body can't relax. It's biologically responding to a perceived threat, even when that threat is internal. This is a reality for so many high-functioning, deeply giving people. We're often praised for how much we do. But somewhere along the way, we internalize the belief that our worth is tied to our output, that rest is earned, not allowed. And it shows up in those exact moments when we finally slow down. Guilt, unease, that little voice whispering, you should be doing something. There's responsibilities all around us, at work, at home, with loved ones. The demand is real, but that doesn't mean that we let our beliefs bring us down. We'll only feel worse that way. Here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. That voice is not the truth. That voice is programming. These are the invisible scripts quietly disrupting our peace. So let's talk about how beliefs can hijack the nervous system. Here's what I want you to know. Your body believes your beliefs. You don't have to say them out loud. You don't even have to be fully aware of them. Your body will still respond as if those beliefs are fact. So if your core belief says, I'm only valuable when I'm helping, something bad will happen if I don't do this or that, if I slow down, I'll fall behind, then your nervous system will stay activated. It will default into fight, flight, or freeze. So when you're in fight, you might get irritable, tense, over-controlling, and reactive. When you're in flight, you get busy, distracted, restless, and you're intent on getting out of that situation as fast as possible. And when you're in freeze, you shut down, you go quiet, you go numb. Maybe you feel hopeless. You're at a standstill. You don't move. All of this can happen during what looks like a peaceful moment. That's the crazy part. Nothing external is wrong, but your body doesn't really believe that you're truly calm and safe. Because the subconscious mind is running the show with an old belief that says, stillness equals danger. Here's a real moment. As I record this, I'm feeling the pressure to finish so that I can start my list of chores. I'm caught between loving what I'm doing, creating something meaningful for you to hear, and feeling the urge to stop and clean the house. I've probably felt the pull to shut the laptop and tidy up about 5 different times. There's a mild hum of anxiety hanging around me. It's not a big deal, but it's real. I get these flashes where I feel like I'm doing it all wrong, that I should clean first, then work. But here's the truth. If I clean first, I'll never get around to what matters to me. And maybe this is part of why launching this podcast took me a really long time. And so what I've learned is the chores will wait. They always do. And I always get to them eventually. They'll be there when I'm done, and that's okay. Have you ever put chores first instead of doing something that's actually good for you? And here's the thing, sometimes, even when I give myself permission to stay focused on something that feeds me, like this podcast, I still feel that tug, like I'm getting away with not doing more. But who set that rule? Where did I get this idea that doing is more valuable than being? Probably society, our families, the way we grew up. What I know for certain is it wasn't something that I chose, it was something that I just picked up. So, what do you do? When we're talking about beliefs, I always get asked, like, well, where do you even start? I believe that there's a lot of value in stillness and sitting still. And let me expand why. Stillness usually feels like the last thing we have time for, but that is exactly why we need it the most. It's counterintuitive. It's in stillness where our inner world becomes audible, where we can finally start to hear what we actually believe, what we actually think. This is the space where you begin to hear the thoughts running on autopilot, your inner scripts, your deepest beliefs, and your emotional truth. Stillness is not laziness, and I know that sometimes it might feel like that. Stillness is presence. It's awareness. It's a reconnection to the part of you that has been silenced and sometimes forgotten by noise and schedules and pressure and just life. Here's the beautiful part. Stillness is also where you begin to hear the voice of your true self, that part of you that is loving, intuitive, and wise. That voice might be quiet at first, especially if you haven't tuned in a while. But it's there, and it's always been there. When you resist stillness, ask yourself, what am I afraid I might hear? And when you allow it, be open to the idea that you might hear exactly what you need to come home to yourself. Sometimes the truth of how we really believe isn't pretty or beautiful or fun, but it's the truth. It's your truth. And sometimes we have to honor that. I know for a lot of us, stillness, especially at first, can feel really useless. Like, what's the point of sitting here when I can knock something off my list? But here's what I've learned. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is to stop, listen, and check in with yourself. Because when you move from stillness, you're not just reacting, you're choosing. There's a mindfulness about it. When you start to notice the beliefs that you have, I do think it's important to start tracking your beliefs because this is where the work begins. This is where you start to reclaim your peace. You have to start tracking the beliefs that interrupt your peace. And so next time you feel anxious in a quiet moment, ask yourself, what am I believing right now? What do I think will happen if I don't get up and do something? This reminds me of my dad. When I was younger and he came home, I better be up and doing something. And the house better not be a mess. I remember when he'd come home, there'd be like this sense of panic to get up and run around and make yourself look really busy and make sure that the house looked good enough. My dad is a very restless person, always busy, always working on something, a bit of a perfectionist in his own way. I learned from him an incredible work ethic and perfectionism to a fault. Sometimes we might have thoughts that we believe that I'm lazy if I rest. If I'm not helping, I'm failing. Everyone else needs me more than I need myself. And these are just beliefs, they're not facts. And they can be unlearned. New beliefs can be learned once you decide you're done with the old ones. And so I want to expand on stillness because I think a lot of people have a hard time knowing what to do when they're in stillness. And for some, they're like, well, I'm sitting here and I'm hearing myself think, but now what? And of course, it is to hear your thoughts. But if this is something that you're just not really familiar with doing, you might have a harder time. And I want to share briefly where I feel like relaxation has gone wrong. One of the things that I encourage everybody to do, whether or not you're trying to be in stillness or not, but on the path to peace, is learning true relaxation. We've forgotten what true relaxation is. So many people think that they're relaxing when they're watching a TV show or a movie, or they're scrolling on their phone, or even when they go on vacation. And I'm guilty of that too. But that's not it. That's not real rest. And it's not zoning out to depressing music either. That ain't it. True relaxation has to do with actually relaxing your nervous system. That means your mind is focused on enjoyment, not stress. Your body and your muscles are relaxed, not tight and bracing and full of tension. If relaxation feels foreign, start small. Maybe you go and you sit by the water or under a tree. Maybe you practice meditating or you do a breathing exercise. If you have a hard time tapping into relaxation, one of the things that I did was I booked a deep tissue massage. It forced me to stop and physically relax, and eventually my mind relaxed too. This is a really good time to say, what is something that I can do that forces me to stop? If you book an appointment, it could be a massage, it could be a facial, it could be anything like that. And at first, it's about just trying different things. See for yourself, are you truly relaxed when you do this or that? Or is this tension sabotaging your peace? And I want to interject, you might confuse relaxation with self care. And to me, it is not the same thing. Self care is about nurturing yourself and it's open to interpretation. So when I talk about getting a massage or a facial, I'm not saying that that is relaxation. I'm saying that it's a tool to help you learn how it feels to be relaxed. The intention would be to take that feeling and be able to access it at home when you're driving, even. Can I feel relaxed when life is getting hard? Can I hit pause and say, hey, let me take a relaxation break? Most of us don't do that, at least not framed that way. This is just something to think about, but I'm at the point in my life where I don't really need to do any of those things. I do like them and I still enjoy them and I still want to continue to nurture myself that way, but it's not the only way anymore. And now I can be sitting in traffic and I'm having a grand old time. I can still be in the busyness of my life and still feel pretty relaxed. I'm not really worried about anything. I'm okay and I can trust that feeling of relaxation. It's just easier to be. And that's just something I want to be able to teach other people. The way that I'm sharing in these episodes is I'm giving you little bits and pieces at a time because I want you to be able to digest what I'm saying, sit with it, take it in. Some things are going to jump out at you more than other things. And the way I look at it, if something stands out to you, that's a clue for you to take that time with yourself and expand on something. Take that as an invitation to say, hey, this caught my attention. Let me focus on that. I really want to talk about reclaiming your peace. And we can do this in micro moments. We don't always shift beliefs overnight, but we can begin with these like little micro moments where we learn not only to relax, but to choose peace. Moments where we hear the old script, but we choose a new response. Let's say you get a quiet 15 minutes. And instead of filling it with chores, you just sit and take a breath. You might hear the guilt creeping in. You say to yourself, okay, I hear it, but it's safe for me to rest right now. It's okay. You might feel the anxiety rise, but you got to remind your body, nothing's wrong right now. I'm okay. That's the truth. I'm actually okay right now. And these are just rewrites. These are the new signals your nervous system needs to feel safe and with peace. Peace isn't found, it's practiced. And the more that you practice it, the more your body begins to believe that it's safe. Stillness is part of the path to inner peace. And it might start small, just for a few seconds even, a breath where you choose yourself. Let these little micro moments build. Peace grows in those quiet, repeated decisions. I had a moment like this yesterday. My husband had just come home from a long day at work, and so he sat on the couch. I joined him. We don't usually get to do that first thing. And so we're sitting down, we're hanging out, just talking, and the thought popped up in my head like maybe we should be cleaning because the kids are occupied right now. And then I consciously made the choice to say, no, I'm going to enjoy this. We never get to do this. We never get to have silence for 5 minutes. It was a rare moment that instead I enjoyed that time with him. That's an example of what it can look like, where you make a new choice in the moment. It's not always thought of ahead of time. Sometimes peace means that trusting yourself to have 5 to 10 minutes for yourself is okay. So I challenge you. Can you begin to relax your body, your mind, and your beliefs? What belief are you willing to challenge today to get just one moment of peace? Pause with that. Write it down. Feel into it. You don't need to fix everything at once. All you need is the awareness to pause, question the belief, and make a new choice. That's where peace begins. Every time you choose to rest, to pause, to be present, and relax, you're rewriting the script. You're teaching your body that peacefulness is safe. And that's no small thing. That's everything. Your peace matters. Next week, we'll be talking about self-worth and the beliefs that either build it or break it. I'll be sharing the personal shifts that changed my life, the beliefs that I had to let go of, and how I learned to truly value myself. And it transformed the way that I show up for everything and everyone around me. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I hope something here met you right where you are. This podcast is for inspiration only and not a substitute for therapy. Please reach out to a licensed professional if you need support. I'll catch you on the next one.